Morning to you. How are you? Happy Christmas.
Morning. I just heard the phrase positivity this morning. I presume that's what the reason is.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely, yeah. John Duggan asked me the other day, what's your favourite part about the Masters? And I was like, I had to actually think. Well, it's a really good question. What is your favourite bit about this?
I don't know. I like it all. I mean, I do. I'm a sucker for the vicarious living through the traditions in the build-up. I ache for them. I'd love to do that, to live that life. I suppose I do love the golf course. If I was to boil it down to a single thing, first major of the year, everybody there, but like the intricacy of the golf course. I watch a lot of golf on the PGA Tour, and a lot of the courses are very boring. And the shots that they are required to hit are very boring, whereas there's like a rich tapestry of what they're being asked to do here. So if you're into your golf, and we're a great golfing country with lots of brilliant golfers, the things they're asked to do get me a little bit excited, whereas I can kind of sit there a bit slumped watching PGA Tour events far too often,
I think one of the things about that is that we've seen so many great winners of the tournament struggle across the course of the week and come up with something memorable from a position of difficulty. Maybe that's to do with familiarity, that this is one of the few tournaments where we actually get the same course year in, year out, and we're intimately familiar now with almost every aspect of it.
Yeah, I think that adds to the richness. They get to 12, you got a million things gone through your mind as a player and as a fan. Every time Spieth gets there, I think he has like post-traumatic stress. And even in 19, where Tiger won it, I think 3 went into the water. Koepka and Molinari, certainly. So yeah, that all adds, and it's just so beautiful. It mightn't be the most admirable golf club in many ways, but the course is kind of incredible. So all of those things, the weight of history, I really love it. But this is all set up to be potentially absolute classic, unless the weather causes havoc, which I think it's going to.
You nearly need to be on autopilot, Joe, don't you, in that final back nine on the Sunday, because Vincent Hogan's even writing in the Irish Independent this morning talking about that Bryson DeChambeau episode of Full Swing, where he's sitting there after the first round last year. I think he shot a 73 maybe. He was out of contention, and then he looks at someone like Scottie Scheffler, who appears to not think of anything when he's playing golf.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you can keep the nerves at bay, that autopilot's very good to have. But to Jer's question as well, the course, we had Padraig Carrington on Golf Weekly, and I said, like, do you rate this like in an architectural way? Is this like the best there is? And he said, I would class this as intimidating. And Faldo was talking this week as well, and he was saying, to your autopilot point, you can't switch off on any shot here. I mean, the second you kind of think, I'm going okay here, I got a feel for this place and how to play this, it just gets you. There's constant, you got the balls above your feet and you need to hit a fade, and you got a number and you have to hit it. And if you're 2 yards off, you're rolling off the green, and suddenly it's a double bogey, and you're thinking, I didn't do it. What did I do wrong there? I hit a pretty good shot. So, like, I think it's such a great course because there is a genuine birdie double bogey opportunity on pretty much every hole. So all of that makes it really compelling again. And so the autopilot thing for sure, in terms of your nerves, and Scheffler's really interesting case in that point, because Sunday last year, he was in tears, like literally cradled by his wife in tears, saying, I can't win the Masters. I shouldn't be here. This is insane. And then unflappable on the course.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. He's what was it Liam Payne said about Will Smith? One of the world's great emoters. Yeah. One of the world's great. Scottie Scheffler's not one of the world's great emoters. So he doesn't grab anyone. He just doesn't. And he plays a very conservative brand of golf as well. And everything is just kind of solid. And yet some of his parts, he's so good at the moment. So he's like, if you compare him to Rory, he is the opposite in every way. I'm trying to do the maths. I think he's made the guts of 40 million in the last 2 years. He just can't stop winning. He's still driving a 2012 GMC Yukon that his dad gave him. He's very much a man of God, Christian, and so believes it's all in God's hands. And I'm not saying he's doing that cynically to help his golf, but it does help his golf. So he has this veneer, as sports people down the years, it's a very common thing.
We were talking
he
about
has this veneer of it's all in God's hands, and incredibly stable family.
Easter Sunday, it's really important this week. Like, it's an extra, it's just this, as you say, it's
destiny.
It's kind of a bulletproof sense.
It is bulletproof. It is bulletproof. And I see it with Katie Taylor sometimes. I would think her opponent walking out, just seeing this veneer of, I'm in God's hands, is an extra layer that makes them it gives a touch of aura, He's had the same coach since he was 12. On full swing, the most controversial thing he said, being mic'd up for a whole year, was that, Meredith, she eats crisps in bed sometimes. So annoying to his caddy on the course. Wonderful family. So, there's nothing to dislike. There's nothing to reach out and make you, I think, go, wow, this is this is the golf I want to see. But he's scary good. Last defending champion to win was Woods in 02. And only 3 have done it. Jack in 66, Faldo in 90, Woods in 02. Even Scottie Scheffler, remember Woods famously chipped in the Nike ball hovered in 05? And that was the first time Woods had chipped in that entire year. Scottie Scheffler has chipped in 11 times this year. So, but even it doesn't really register because he chips in and he kind of goes,
hey.
Yeah, nice. It's all nice. So that makes him scary. He's really, really good.
We do love talking about the weather in Ireland, so this could actually be the perfect Masters for us, because it looks like it may be so bad that we might be seeing golf on Monday/Tuesday.
I know. And you boys off on Monday morning, huh?
Perfect, isn't it?
So today is going to be okay. Friday and Saturday going to be a mess. They're saying 10 to 12 degrees Celsius, which again by our standards isn't so bad, but that's cold by their standards, and I'm sure Tiger Woods' back is aching at the thought. And more to the point, thunder. Which means delays, and that just brings in all sorts of unpredictability. And if you're Rory and you're in a state of flow, which he can get into, he's gonna, that will affect certain players like him, I think, more so. The point is made routinely, there's a wet course, and that will bring in the bombers, and that will eliminate the short hitters. And yet I just have this nagging thought that the last time we had weather akin to this was in 07 when Zach Johnson won, a short hitter, and in 03 when Mike Weir won, a short hitter. So it just brings in qualities like resolve and patience and dealing with inevitable adversity. And I watched Paul McGinley last night on NBC, and he was saying, I now have real, not doubts over Rory, but it's not what he wanted to see. So bad weather, who knows?
Yeah, that doesn't help. And he has been feeling himself recently, Rory. A lot of talk was around that 375-yard drive in Texas a couple of weeks ago, and rightly so, to within 3 feet. But even his press conferences in advance, talking about visualising Scottie Scheffler handing him the green jacket in Butler's cabin, it's talk that we expect Rory to be cocky, but he seems to be really in a good place emotionally.
Yeah, I agree. That's Bob Rotella. Bob Rotella, interestingly, has flown in. He's on site with Rory all week, which is so interesting. So interesting. Because Rory, he has flitted from one psychological approach to another when it comes to this tournament without amazing success, because he's blown himself out of this tournament the last 4 opening rounds. If you're outside the top 10 after round 1, it's not good. Only once in the last 12 years, if you're outside the top 10 after round 1, has somebody won. So it's really not easy. Rory's often been 30th or worse. So Rotella has flown in. He's on site with them. And I would say, to your point, Shane, he just strikes me as very seasoned now. He got the grey hairs. He should have won this thing 12 years ago. So he knows this course better than any, you were talking about Scheffler, Scary and Rahm and these guys. Nobody knows this course of the contenders better than Rory. Nobody has more experience. But, he's gone from the golf doesn't define me and my family does to now, I think, accepting that didn't work for him on the course. He'd be saying these things and he'd get on the course and suddenly golf did define him and he did get nervous. So visualization, I hadn't heard that quote, but that has Rotella written all over it. Rotella is, I've read all his books in vain, but it's annoyingly simple, and it's lots of dream big, embrace it, and then one shot at a time. That's about the height of what he's saying. So, I wouldn't say Joe Brolly would have a field day with him. I'd say, I wouldn't say he's cocky, but I think he's had 8, post that Ryder Cup where he was in tears, where I think he just thought, oh my God, I'm actually making a mess of this whole thing. And he has sorted out his game. I think genuinely the confidence has come from how reliable his game now is. His game is so reliable. He's even had an iffy year this year in comparison to last year, and he's won once. And his last 3 events, he's finished 3rd and 2nd. And it's kind of been like changing putter, changing driver, just reassessing things. So it's kind of the first Masters where I'd almost stake my life he's going to be thereabouts if he doesn't have a bad first round.
Right. We've only got a minute left.
Sure.
There's no way that we can do the whole live thing properly in that. But do you expect the live crew to contend?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Everyone's saying, nah. Didn't stop Patrick Reed against Rory. I just 54 holes. I think they'll manage 72.
It doesn't seem to be that big a deal, does it?
I think a lot of nonsense has been talked there. Plus, you're now injecting these guys with more adrenaline than they've had all year.
Yeah.
And they got a point to prove. So, I think it's going to be classic. And one last quick point: the extent to which McIlroy, Trevor Immelman was talking, and he was saying, "I've never seen this before. I've never seen an international player break America this way." He is the biggest story. Like, Tiger's not been mentioned the way he usually is. Every podcast, every American golf talk show, they're all starting with Rory. And Immelman was saying, it's really hard to do that as a non-American. But, he has never been more popular. He's the biggest name in golf. All the talk is Grand Slam, Grand Slam, Grand Slam. And that is a lot of weight when he tees it up at 6:48 this evening Irish time. So get through the first round and then we could be in for something.
All right. Every shot obviously available to watch as well, no doubt. Or is it?
Yeah, flick on. If you miss any of it, flick on your app, just go into whatever player you want to see, hit play, and in 2 minutes you'll have their entire round. I mean, it's the future.
Right here today. Joe, good stuff. Thanks a million.
Okay,
Enjoy.
fellas. See ya.
Bye-bye. Joe Molloy. You can get more of that goodness, of course, on Golf Weekly and, of course, every weekday evening from 7 o'clock on Off the Ball.